time. Something has got to happen because we can no longer go down the path that we're going down. This country won't last another 6 months. This country won't last another 12 months if something doesn't happen. So it's time to flip the switch. It's time to get involved. It's time to move the line forward. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So I don't care what flip the switch is. I don't care if that means that all of this nonsense is nonsense, or if some of it's true. All right. Welcome, Warriors, World Patriots, and my fellow Americans. My name is Mike. I'm the host of the Liberty Warrior. Give me liberty or give me death. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. It is Monday, June the 6th, 2022. How's everybody doing tonight? Man, it's already a busy Monday for the week. And we got a long way to go and a lot to get done in a short amount of time. So buckle up, folks. There is a lot of stuff to talk about in the news, things going on. Man, people contacting me, giving me all kinds of information, and some of it I just shake my head and said, yeah, I knew that was coming. So just be prepared, folks. Just be prepared. Keep your faith in God. And just prep up. Be ready for anything. So tonight's show is brought to you by Mike Lindell and My Pillow. So I just heard that Mike's getting ready to put out a bunch more information to do with those certain machines. So I'm going to support Mike. I hope you guys will support him as well. You can go to mypillow.com. You can use promo code LWN and save up to 66% on some items. I'm telling you, the bed sheets. I just put this out just earlier today, I think it was, and one of the gentlemen messaged me back and said the bed sheets are amazing. I can tell you, after sleeping on those bed sheets, I don't want to sleep on anything else. I took them off. I put the other ones on that I had, and I was ready to take them off after the first night. You got to try those Giza sheets. They are truly amazing sheets. I love them. So check it out. MyPillow.com. Use promo code LWN. It helps keep the lights on here at LWN. And like I said, Father's Day is right around the corner. Bed sheets are awesome. I've got the slippers. Sometimes I forget that I have them on. I wear them uptown. They're so comfortable. So check them out. All right. So tonight, a father's journey. We have Tom Althouse in the waiting room with us. We're going to have a conversation. He's got a video that he would like to share with us tonight, and we'd like to hear more of his story. Tom has been on several times, a few times last year, and he has been on Podbean with us the last couple of weeks telling his story. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Tom in. How you doing this evening, Tom?
Really good. Thanks, Mike. It's great to be here.
It's good to have you, Tom. A lot of stuff going on, and I did check out the video that your son Aiden had produced, and it's a pretty neat video that he put out. I've got it ready to go when you're ready. Just let me know, and we'll pull it up and play it for everybody. So I know a lot of people follow us over on Podbean. They've heard your story. Some people here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, they probably haven't heard all of your story, but we could maybe, in a nutshell, give them the quick version of it, and then we're going to move into some of the stuff that you want to talk about tonight. Now,
All right.
one cool thing here at LWN, just for everybody to know, we have less than 100 subscribers before we hit 17,000 subscribers. So if you can like, share, subscribe, send this out to everybody so people can hear Tom's story, that would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button, get the algorithm up. But less than 100 people, and we hit 17,000 subscribers. Now, I've been working my tail off to get to that 17. Everybody knows number 17, so help me get to that number 17. Go ahead, Tom. Let's go with just the shortest version that you have about a little bit about your background, because, like I said, so many people that watch the YouTube, Twitch don't listen to Podbean, and some of the viewers that we have now weren't with us a year ago, Tom, so they may not know a little bit about your backstory.
Sure. I grew up in unusual circumstances, a very religious right kind of background, very strict, very structured. Plus, my dad was a captain in the Navy, so it was like, it's kind of sort of like the Von Trap on steroids. So it was a lot of like, you do this, you don't do this, you do this, or you don't, or else. So basically, I was very, very strict. The arts was considered something that was you don't touch. It's not going to get you anywhere. But a lot of art ran in the family, so I secretly did art, learned music, all kinds of stuff on my own, even at a young age. Led up to being at Pat Roberts' organization, where they said, you'll go to school. Went to school there, and it turned out it was an absolute nightmare. I tried to whisper through art what I learned was going on. Then it became a big blockbuster as Robertson actually steered the piece, trying to take it out of my hands to keep me from having a voice, and sent it to Disney and to Warner Brothers, making sure they got it. And then it was shut down after that. But now the piece, of course, took off, and we're trying to reclaim our work is what we're doing while they control the court systems and control the media and everything else. What's the good thing is it drew all the main players in that are interconnected in the shallow state, as I call it. And because of their greed and egos, they all came rushing in, and now they're all trying to rush out. So we are revealing them hands down now. It is turn the tables. Man tried to outwit God, God outwit man. That's how I saw it in the theme of the piece.
Amen. And for those of you who don't know, Tom is the original screenwriter for The Matrix. It was changed to The Matrix, but Tom actually his screen title was The Immortals. Correct, Tom?
That's right there, The Immortals. This is from the Copyright Office, the director and the specialist. Now, the opposition said it would be 8 pages. It's actually 128 pages. A page equals a minute in screen time. So it was right on par. There's the date confirming this is the 1998 version, which they used on set for the 1999 shooting of The Matrix. And it is the train station scene, liquid mirrors, everything's in there, including my own personal information is inserted by the Wachowskis in the first graphic, and that actually includes my high school, listed as Neo's school, Central West High.
Some of the stuff that you shared with us in the past year, Tom, is truly amazing. How these people they tell us what they're going to do before they do it, and they put that in movies. They put it out there in the newspaper, on television, and for them to tell you and mock you and make fun of you for stealing your work is just truly crazy. And for them to put your name in the movie, your high school in the movie, use your father's name, his rank, and all that stuff, it's just I've never heard of such a thing, to be honest with you.
Well, you couple that, Mike. Also, I appreciate your capsulizing that all and laying out so cleanly. Also, what happens is they send people your way to work you on to do a case and to trust them to carry the case for you. And then what they're doing is they're actually making sure statutes are run out. They're making sure that the attorney they give you has a suspended license, ineligible to practice law. And they're making sure that his classmates are the ones handling it for Warner Brothers, so that all you're going to see in the news is he lost his case, and they'll keep running it through the media they own. Whereas they're the ones that orchestrated the whole thing to make sure we would have everything run out, not have a chance, and then go forward. And that way they have access to all the evidence, they have access to the scripts and everything else. Meanwhile, we have them on tape, their attorneys saying, on cassette, on tape, I mean, digital, saying, we have no working drafts. We're not going to honor disclosures. We're not going to give you any information, which is due process and required by law. We're not going to do it, which is fraud. So therefore, we can come back, no statute of limitations.
You know, it's funny that you mention the lawyer and how they make sure that they put that on the news that you lost the case. They did the same thing in the Durham case. It was a big to do, and they made so it's my belief that they're putting out that Durham lost the case, and who cares if somebody lied to the FBI. They want to do that so that people will lose interest in it. But what they don't realize is they were caught in a trap as well, and it's getting ready to everything be exposed. So, you know, it seems like it's the same playbook over and over again for these guys. It never changes. That's one thing that I scratch my head about, Tom. Why do they never change their playbook? Is that just part of evil, or is that just are they really that dumb?
I think they've got a couple things that go along with what we just said. Yes, they're not that smart when it comes down to it. When you mix in ego and this arrogance that was the ego mixed in, you get a empty nest. You get a situation where these people are not that bright. They spend a lot of time bragging. A lot of times that bragging slips things out and lets us know information. We've been picking up the drops off their bucket from Go. And so now we got evidence off the charts that's now springing back on them. Another weaknesses they have is they don't want anybody in their interconnective conspiracies to be revealed. Now we got each one of them and the major things that makes them run and scared that networks are actually selling back to Disney, like MGM and Fox are selling back to Disney. They don't want to be part of this intellectual property ripoff strategy that came up with Eisner, through Mike Lang and Harvey Weinstein, through Miramax Films and Film Tracks. I know the full story because I was also being groomed to be on the inside at the same time. So I actually have a card from the FBI that says, please extend every courtesy to Tom Althouse. I still have that card. That was when they were grooming me. Now, what happened to that? So basically, yeah, they are falling apart where their strategies, their playbook is old, outdated. They won't change it because of their ego. They think that, no one dares speak up. The Wachowskis even did an interview on Bound where it shows their true colors and their lack of intellect. I'm going to say it straight out. And they're saying there that everybody on set had ideas that he wanted to tell us. That's how it works in their groups. No one dares step on their ego. No one dares suggest that the other person's doing it wrong. Otherwise, there's a cat fight. So basically, you have an outdated playbook. No one's going to touch it because in their world, it's not open to debate.
No, they stay right to that playbook as well, and it's obvious because now almost every situation that comes out here in America, I can almost call it step by step without even trying because it's the same playbook. So I can tell you right now, there was another shooting in Philadelphia yesterday or this morning. And so the playbook is they're going to continue to push this agenda. They're going to continue to have these shootings going on because they're going after the Second Amendment right now. And so they're going to make it look as ugly as they possibly can to get fence sitters to beg for Congress to do something about it, to beg for them to take our rights, for them. They're going to beg for them to appeal the Second Amendment. And I warn everybody, the Second Amendment is the only thing that keeps us from total communism here in this country. So it's the same playbook over and over and over again.
That's right. And keep in mind, they are staging these things, or not staging, they're getting people to do these things. They're getting them to work their mind to do these things. And they promise them that they'll be remembered forever, that they'll be famous. It's like this famous thing they keep throwing people. And so why is the shooting in Texas at the school? Because my son goes to school in Texas. Why the shooting in Philadelphia? Because that's where I was born, Philadelphia. What they're doing is they're sending a message, because right now we're on a rampage through the documentary and everything else to get this done and get word out. And our tactic now has finally been honed, Mike, where we're looking at each individual main player and what their main concern is that they don't want revealed, and we're revealing that. Getting the evidence together on each of them, even with Pat Robertson and his main thing that he is so scared about, and now he's throwing stuff around the boardroom, I guarantee you. I'm getting messages from his inside Intel staff, and he's losing it. He's absolutely losing it, because we're finally coming through when he thinks he's just going to polish and dust off his legacy and his image.
So as the onion unfolds, are you guys have all that information that you're going to expose? How's your lawyer right now? Are we looking at you going back to court sometime in 2022, or is it going to be further out? What's it look like for your legalities and for your lawyer part of this?
That's a great question. What's happening is organically we're running into people in law who are deeply immersed in it that are fighters. We haven't looked because they provided their own attorneys all the way across the board in every element. We're not playing that game anymore. First, educate the public, the court of public opinion. Then go to the courts. Then I was advised the judges won't be so apt to be the pocketed ones they have in place, which is the strategy of Mike Lang of Disney. To win the intellectual property rights of what they call the Disney Library, hard copy scripts in the early 90s, like this one right here, the main one. What they're doing is they're hoping for the death of the authors and buying off the family members of that author, those authors, so that when it comes to the death of the author, they can simply put it through on slots they've secured in the Copyright Office by just having the title, Immortals, listed without any body of work. And that becomes their go-to method to make sure they can just stick the stuff in and use a court of their choosing and venue, such as the 330-mile court out in District 9, Western Division, California, they use, to just force it through and say this is actually their property. They can just do it. Doesn't matter how much evidence, credit you have, it's just shut away. While the media shuts you down and only posts negative things. And so this is a taste of what's going on. They actually have a copyright on the Immortals title, no body of work, subtitles, and it's considered, first it was on the ownership of Dino Laurentiis, who winded down the Wachowskis. And now he switched it to, or back in '96 when I showed up in Hollywood, to the biggest investment firms in our world, claiming they created the work, the Immortals. So they created slots. Upon my death, their takes go in those slots.
Now, this is a question I've never asked you, Tom. Where is this court case actually filed at? Is it in California? Is it in the LA area? Is it in Texas? What state and what area have you filed this court case?
The court case that they say you lost was done by their attorneys in California, Hollywood's courts in California, Hollywood, California. And it was done by the attorney who was the classmates of Linda Burrow, Caldwell, Leslie, and Proctor, Warner Brothers team. They had three main attorneys for them. And he was their classmate. And so Tony Rankin of Maui was ineligible to practice law. He was ineligible, suspended license. And they had him go ahead and file it as a suspended license, so that we would lose right from the start, and then blast it all over TMZ, which is owned by Warner Brothers. In fact, Linda Burrow for Warner Brothers, who's a classmate of Tony Rankin, who represents Warner Brothers, is also the attorney for TMZ. And so they blast it with the Wachowskis' faces shown, saying you're no nothing hacked, this kind of stuff. And then they, through the Hollywood Reporter, which they also control, they announced only negative things. And they listed the covered liability. They say the whole staff wrote it. So what you have is they're simply going for free discovery. They're going to get you all your notes. And keep in mind, they say on record, they have no working drafts. It's a moot point to ask for discovery. That's just garbage on top of garbage. And we have that tape going into the documentary. So right now, we are not touching their stage. We're not touching their turf. We're revealing them. And then we'll go to court in the venue we choose, and with fair due process guaranteed. Because once the word is out and public educated, then we can bring attorneys on board, not when they're buying them off and they're paying exorbitant amounts and giving huge rewards like they did to my sister, with an FBI operative who's also Pennsylvania congressman, which should never occur. And that is who handles my sister and gives her incredible rewards, including black tie dinners and trips to the Caribbean, trips to London, New York, you name it, she goes. And she gets to be the top psych person in Pennsylvania, and also president of psych people, or school psychologists in Pennsylvania. That gives her the ability and the clout, they think, to push through it. And keep in mind, she's unlicensed too. That she can then claim, Tom said this, my brother said this, and the SWAT team comes and hauls me off on her word.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, Tom.
It's happened 5 times. 5 times.
So D-Dog put this up here for you, and I can share your contact information with him if you choose to. He says there is no statute of limitations on fraud for theft of creative properties. And D-Dog, he's connected. He's a very smart guy. So
well, thank you to D-Dog.
I'll send you his email, and you can reach out to D-Dog and ask for some help. This guy is so busy. I don't know how he has time to hardly breathe, because he is in and out of the courtrooms. I think one day I heard him say he had court like 4 times in one day. So he's a pretty busy guy, dealing with trying to fight to get our country back.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah,
he has a great saying: if you don't know your rights, you don't know what you're fighting for. And I believe that if we don't educate ourselves, we have no clue what we're doing. So, and I know a lot of people fall in that category, including myself at times.
Well, you just hit something really, really important. I think D-Dog understands this too, totally, right off the bat. The reason we're not going forward right now is we're told to educate the public first. Right now, if we went forward, it'd be under their control, and they would shut down evidence just like before. If we educate the public first of the evidence that they are trying to shut down, let the public see all this evidence and the proof, such as the high school, Thomas A. Anderson, my Scottish clan name, my name, my first initial, last initial, also as Neo. My birthday in there, everything's in there. My dad's name, John A. So if we educate the public first on what we have, including the scenes that are taken and lifted in 1998 into the 99 version, then we can do it with people like D-Dog and others that actually come forward seeing the evidence. So that's how you win, is you display to the court of public opinion first, then go where they're neutered. The other side's neutered. Otherwise, they're gonna ride you. You won't have people are be too afraid to come forward. They won't help you. They'll just run you through the court. And that, actually, there are attorneys that said, you need to file on it. You need to file on it on their own people. They want me to, so they can run the game and then put it on the air that I lost.
Well, here's another question that I have for you, Tom. I know that you've been told to educate the public first before you go to court. We've seen lots of times, especially in Hollywood, where the judges are bought off, lawyers are bought off, prosecutors are bought off. Do you feel like you're going to get a fair shake in this court system in that area?
We do it this way, we will, and hopefully we'll lead the way for others. Then we want to institute studios that also have education on the tricks, the bag of tricks, that old tire playbook of how they win their law cases, switching the judge out to the one they want to make the decision they want. A motion for summary judgment, even though there's tribal issues all over the place, they'll say there's nothing here, taking it as summation and saying like, no, you have nothing, no tribal issues. What are you talking about? Liquid mirrors, Jackson neck, everything else. And all the tricks and tracks they do to make sure nothing is revealed. What we're going to do is, once we get the fraud situation going, we're going to have Joel Silver on camera in a deposition and the Wachowskis on camera in depositions, and they don't want that. In fact, Tony Rankin, who's provided, I have the paper here, he said, I'm not going to do face-to-face depositions. He did no discovery at all, ran the statute on that too. And so what happens, he said, if I ever did depositions of the Wachowskis, it'll be soft questions only for an hour, and they'll be telephonic, he said. And that's what the attorney said. Their attorney said telephonic too. So what's that? He said that'll be an advantage for you. How is ask D-Dog telephonic depositions an advantage? He said we can pass notes to each other. But he said I will not ask any of your questions, none of yours. Only soft questions. Soft questions. That phrase was coined with Bush, I believe, to ask him questions that he could answer. That's where it came from, Tony Rankin.
Well,
yeah.
They toss Biden soft questions all the time, and he's got the answers on a 5x8 card. He still can't get them right. He still can't answer the soft questions.
No. And yet they accuse us of reading off a script. We're not reading off a script, but that's what they accuse because their people have to. So just think of the heyday that's coming and what that's going to be when we actually get to face them in court in a fair venue. They don't stand a chance.
Well, I just sent you an email. That email is D-Dog's phone number and his email address too, so you can reach out to D-Dog. It's in your email.
Perfect. I think we're going to have a great team. You watch what happens, and this is what we were led to do by even the guy who was like the father of virtual reality. He's given that title, and also a Met star, Richard Craig. Took me to tea after the case was thrown and said, "Listen, they're going to crucify you in the public. You need to educate the public, and then." Have people on your side to make sure the judges don't, go against the court of public opinion. And I've been following that since. Yeah. So
you said earlier in the conversation that Pat Robertson was probably throwing stuff at the whiteboard and throwing a fit. This lawsuit and what he's connected to is a pretty big deal. And a lot of people have been talking about it for quite a while. Referring to the little people and some of the trafficking and some of the grooming and some of the things that happens behind closed doors. Disneyland is also connected to Pat Robertson and the rest of the crew. Can we go into a little bit of that?
Let's take a look at what he hates most being revealed right here. His number one PR person, his number one PR man, who's his cleanup man, also in charge of the sex ring for children and also the homosexual sex ring that Robertson's part of. Watch what happens here. Let's look at the man's name. Take a look at that name. Remember that name. David J. Geierdson. David J. Geierdson is the man, is the main cleanup man for Pat Robertson. Now, what's interesting about him is he makes a big mistake. Here it is right here. Remember this name. This is what's blowing off the lid of Robertson. Go for what they fear most. Remember this name, Kempsville Presbyterian Church. Everybody log this name. Don't let it go.
Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Kempsville Presbyterian Church, Virginia Beach, Virginia, June 1985 to May 1986, a whole year there. Now, he's not a pastor. He's a PR man. He makes millions for Robertson, but he becomes the interim senior pastor. Now, minister, let me read what it says here, and you'll get the idea. And I'll tell you what happened. Served as the interim senior minister for a 2,000 member, that's 2,000 witnesses, PCUSA congregation while they searched for a new pastor. Supervised a staff of about 20 full-time employees to alter K people and ministers and managed a budget about 1.5 million, a lot of money involved. Stabilized, think of it in their terms of their language they're choosing carefully. Stabilized the congregation after the loss of the previous pastor due to a moral failure. We're going to talk about that in a second and how it ties to Robertson. Provided direction for the development of a new strategic plan, make sure people don't talk, and assisted with the transition to a new senior minister. It took a whole year because you got to keep it under wraps. Left when new senior minister was identified and installed. What happened? When I was taken on the trip on a motorhome by Dr. Harry Sova, who's now at Liberty University, take a look at the staff at the communication department of Liberty University. See what you see. Look at the faces. Tell me what you see. There is a homosexual sex ring. I'm not against homosexuals, but there was a sex ring that ruined my life. And this Dr. Sova, look at his face, Dr. Harry Sova, took me on the trip to D.C. in his motorhome alone when Robertson was grafting me to be the face of the Christian Coalition while he's running for president in 1988. You see, the stakes are high. What does Sova tell me on the trip when he approaches me, trying to convince me to have sex with him? He tells me this, and here it is, Mike. Pat Robertson is connected to this homosexual sex ring. The militant, he called it militant homosexuals, are using the church, because it's supposed to be about love, Pat Robertson, church, using it, for their political agendas and to be successful and to sway the world. What they're doing is Pat Robertson has a sex ring. He's the head of it. He goes all the way to the top. Quote, and to spice it off, thank you very much, Dr. Sova, now at Liberty University, for saying it. Look at this now. He told me, the pastor at Kempsville Presbyterian Church walked forward to his congregation and confessed to having sex with Pat Robertson and also the sex with the head of his university grad school. Now read the words and see how they carefully say it. Stabilize the congregation. 20 people to do it. To make sure, stayed on for a year. Made sure no one will talk, including the children. Pat Robertson's Achilles heel, the thing that's going to blow the skeletons out of his closet and bring him down finally, while he's trying to protect his future image. His PR staff is working hard on it, is that incident. Because that pastor confessed to having sex with that monster who was involved in a sex ring, not only with kids, but also people like myself. And I was roofied, drugged on that trip, and that man raped me. And I lost everything. I lost everything. And when you have sort of like a condition from that, that can cause a PTSD reaction, right? So I turned it into art. I whispered through art what was going on and what his plans were, because Sova spilled it all. And that's why Robertson sent him to Liberty. Falwell. Falwell will do it. Keep in mind this too, and this is important. When Jerry Falwell Jr. came forward and said that his pool boy had sex with his wife, BS. No. You had sex with a pool boy, Jerry Falwell, and you wanted your wife to be part of it. It made it more stimulating for you. That's how they do it. And so what happens is it makes no sense for a man to want to watch another man have sex with his wife. Let's just talk candid. He takes a man, gives him position so he'll be part of the sex ring. Same thing that, why did Robertson send his people to Jerry Falwell's Liberty University? Because they're part of the sex ring. You simply relocate your predator to the other part of where it's operating and cover it up. I'm telling you the truth. So what happens is Jerry Falwell did the same thing Sova did. He employed a young man into his service. You're going to be my grad assistant. You're going to have all these benefits. You're going to have keys to my motorhome. Just like the pool boy, you have sex with those men. They're beholden to you because you're part of your working with you, part of the cover-up. And then if you want, you can have them have sex with your wife too. There is no way in hell Jerry Falwell watched his wife have sex. No, he had sex with that pool boy and his wife. That's how the sex ring works. And that's what Sova did to me. And that's what Robertson covered up. So never forget these words. Here's how you bring Pat Robertson down, a monster in no time. With diamond mines, oil, all kinds of stuff. This man right here falls with this man right, this declaration by David Gyertsen. And what's interesting is when I came forward after I was approached by Sova at Regent University, who's the cover-up man? Take a guess. Who's the cover-up man when it happened to me and I was trying to get justice? From June 1990 to June 1993, my work was submitted to Warner Brothers in 93 by Robertson's director. He's doing it behind their back through professors he had, saying they're going to help me. They weren't going to help me. David Gyertsen serves as the president of his university, where the scandal happened with me. Just enough time, right, to throw the case. And then there he is. Then he has this thing where his daughter recruited him to be a president of the college. No, that's to hide him. And if you wonder how Hollywood and Disney are connected to Pat Robertson, let's go right to the credits here. Look at this. Look at the highlighted sections. David Gyertsen, David J. Gyertsen, is hooked up with Disney, Universal Studios, and the whole full gamut. So much so that he has the mentoring project in Hollywood. He also has the transition consultant, Christian Broadcasting Associations. He has leadership coach, administrative consultant, Sodium Entertainment Productions, Burbank. Leadership coach, Westmont College, Santa Barbara, California. And what does he do? He makes sure that Ned and Judy Nankovich, a model and also an adjunct professor of Pat Robertson, gets this screenplay right here from Tom Althouse saying it's a terrible thing Robertson did to you when he took everything away from you, everything unjustly. Give it to us. We'll make sure it gets in the hand of Disney. Because lo and behold, from the East Coast at Pat Robertson's organization, Ned and Judy Nankovich suddenly get positions on the West Coast. In where? At Disney and Universal Studios, in the head of their story development departments. How'd that happen? How'd that happen? Forget the qualifications lacking. How did they get these top positions? And they're asking, give me your stuff. We'll send it out. And in that process, they send me letters and letters that show the letterhead for Disney, and they're writing for me to send my stuff out to them. And here it is. This is right from Ned and Judy Nankovich from West California, out in Disney World, out working for Universal Studios and also for Disney. Look. So he gets top positions to get my work in the hands of Mike Lang in 1993 while Guyerson is covering up at the Regent Law School after he covered up at Kempsville Presbyterian Church for the sex ring and gives my work whispering about the sex ring to Disney and Universal Studios with top coveted positions which they did not earn because Disney and Robertson are in bed with a sex ring. And lo and behold, if you look up in Judy and Ned Nankovich, you won't see it on their resume. It's here in all the letters they sent me, but it's not on their resume because Robertson didn't want it on there. Neither did Michael Eisner. We're going to blow them away in the court. We're going to frickin' blow them away in the court.
Yes,
documentary.
And so, yeah, Tom's working on a documentary, folks. The Matrix, The Immortals, is worth $800 million, is what they took from Tom. $800 million. They also sent you what you like to call a honeypot wife, Tom. Would you like to explain a little bit about the honeypot?
Absolutely. They pride themselves. They brag about using the art of war. Also, their other source that they use, which is the honeypot wife, the only thing she ever downloaded was 48 ways of power or something, where it says play both sides and then pick the winning team. That's exactly what she did. And then destroy the throne that you're not going to follow. You know, play both thrones like you're dedicated totally to them, and then destroy the one and win favors from the winning throne. Is basically what that thing talks about. It's Machiavelli on steroids. And so that's the only book she ever downloaded. Now, Rebecca Northcutt, where'd she come from? Modesto, California. What did I not know when she came and asked me out on Maui? When she came and took classes in the improv group I was working in? When she gave me her number? When she appeared totally groomed the way I would think was attractive as casting for a show, the Tom Show, basically, at the time, is what they play. Profiled, here she comes. I didn't realize she had a criminal record. She'd been in jail for prostitution. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was outstanding warrants on her. I didn't know that. But Disney did. Mike Lang did, and Michael Eisner did. And where did Tony Rankin first meet the opposition, called his classmate? Was in Disney World. So Mike Lang and Michael Eisner hosted the attorneys on both sides at Disney World. And Mike, first of all, tying in Tony Rankin to Becca. Tony Rankin returns and says, oh, I met the opposition leader. It's going to be Linda Baroque, my classmate. We met in Disney World. How'd that happen? How'd you discuss the case? We haven't filed anything. How'd she come up and say, oh, I'm representing the other side when there's nothing filed, nothing out yet? Why? He's running out statute of limitations, so he hasn't announced anything. So how is this happening? And why is he coming back with a full staff, remodeled boardroom, remodeled kitchen in his offices? Why? Because this is how they play the game. They're stupid. And so what happens is Tony Rankin also is the landlord of the honeypot wife, Rebecca Northcutt. She didn't tell me that either when she came to me. So Tony Rankin is housing the prostitute with a criminal record from Modesto, California. He's also housing Terry Berliner, the Broadway director of Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, one of the Broadway directors, who is supposed to also come in 2005 to me when statutes are running and say, I want you exclusively under me in a contract, and even put in the New York Journal that I was the up-and-coming playwright. They flatter you, they dine you, they wine you, and they don't want you to pursue. They're keeping tabs on you. Keep your enemy close. Pretend they're your friend. That's the FBI CIA method. And so what happens is, here comes Rebecca Northcutt. So when she gets with me, what she does is she starts showing me at the statute of limitations in 2009. That's 1999's 10-year statute. So that's when they spring the trap. They do not want me to go on not realizing I could file a suit. They want me to file a suit under their control to throw it and have discovery free at all my drafts, everything, because they don't have any working drafts for the Matrix. That's on tape. And the reason we have that on tape, let's sidetrack that just a second. Tony Rankin again, not the sharpest tool in the shed. What he does is he has a tape recorder at my deposition only. It's going to go over 7.5 hours. And my tape recorder and his, they match. So he turns mine off because he says we're not allowed to record in California, but he records on his. And he hands me the wrong tape recorder back. The wrong tape recorder back. He handed me his. And on it is everything from lunch and talking to the opposition privately and everything they did intermittently in between. You hear everything. And on that, at the end, here's how fraud comes in too on many, many levels, but here's one of the main ones. What about those long-awaited disclosures, which are now, what, 9 months overdue? Initial disclosures even. Oh, it's a moot point to ask for disclosures. It's a moot point to ask for disclosures because we don't have any working drafts. There's no working drafts for the Matrix whatsoever. So we don't have any evidence to give you, so it's a moot point to ask for. Why they told the public that there was a plethora of evidence and it would slam us. And Rankin told me too, they have so much evidence on you, it's going to blow you away, right? So now we have them on tape. They had nothing, no working drafts. And then we discovered they had this script in hand. The fight choreographer and others are coming forward from set saying this was in hand. And the storyboard, the 600-page storyboards they're trying to bury now. My fans all know about 600-page storyboard, is in the other hand. And that's why there's a 20-foot rule. If you're within 20 feet, you're fired because you're not supposed to see this. Train station scene, liquid mirrors, everything's in here. So that's what's going on preceding Matrix. Now, Honeypot Wife. So she makes sure I see the image on 2009 when it's end of 2009 about the train station scene with the little girl and the little girl pointing the sun. Well, that's right in my piece. That's all my piece right there. That's right in there. So she's making sure I see it. Like, honey, you were ripped off. Great play. Nice play, Rebecca. And so what happens is she then says we should be seeing an attorney. And I end up at the offices of Rankin. Not because Becca took me there. They want to play like they don't know each other. And so Tony Rankin comes to my YMCA class. I do performance, improv, all kinds of stuff, make money. And so he comes to my children's teaching class with his kid, right? Dax. Named after Universal Studios piece, Dax, whatever, that one character he liked. So he names his kid the female name, the son, the female name from the Star Trek. And so what happens is we have him taking my class with his son for only 3 sessions. Then he drops out. Just enough to say, Tom, you need to come to my offices. And let's look at getting your rights back. Now, statutes are already thrown, Mike. And so he brings me in and says, I'm going to give you $100,000 out of my own money to make this work. I'm going to put it into the case. I'm going to get you a copyright attorney who's going to represent you. We're going to get your rights back. This isn't right. That was all lies. It was all lies. And I love to show D-Dog too the contract he came up with. He doesn't want anybody to see to make sure this thing was thrown. After that meeting, Becca was there, and Becca told me, oh my gosh, I forgot. Hey, Tom, that attorney you just took me to, he was my landlord. So now they let slip truth to make sure that they don't look suspicious. And so on it goes where she was getting rid of evidence, everything else. And keep in mind that before that meeting with Rankin, Becca was planning to leave me and my 3-year-old son that she had with me. She is his mom, but she said he wasn't supposed to be born. He's a byproduct of her job. So in 2009, once statute runs, she's done with her job, right? Like Total Recall, done with her job. But since as soon as we had the meeting with Rankin, she suddenly was in love with Aiden and I again. Oh, I love you guys so much. No, I want to be with you. Well, what happened before the meeting? Because she has a job to do now. They decided they're going to run it out, take all the evidence, alter evidence, get the script drafts, copy off the work, steal the work again, publicly destroy me and my son. And that's why suddenly Becca's in love again. And so she plays that role till 2016, when who takes her to bed? And what email do we have that was struck from all our devices? Mike Lang. Email sent on my birthday. And many of the people that deal with the shallow state know, I call it the shallow state, know that they use birthdays, holidays, and things for greater effect, try to create despair. So on my birthday, July 2nd, we find out, where's Becca? She sent us to Canada. She said she comes, where is she? We look at the emails. Mike Lang, Mike Lang, Mike Lang, Mike Lang, Disney. Z at Zion is the email. And what is he promising her? That he bought the most expensive property in Spokane, Washington, just like Joel Silver bought in Venice Beach, the post office, historic post office. They have a penchant for these historic properties now, whatever they're going to do with it. And so in Spokane, Washington, it's the Soho Club, the Langs on Howard, big L out front. And in the entries in the real estate journals, it says, Mike Lang of Southern California bought Langs on Howard. And he has an email sent to Becca on my birthday. Now get this, showing a shaving kit with a bed on it. He's just newly moved into this mistress pad. And he has the big L out front showing that. And it says, Becca, move in with me for 60 days, question mark. That's on my birthday. That's my wife, Mike Lang. So what you're doing is, and I asked the powers to be, contact me, who are from Disney. And I have a tape, Mike, of the contact from Disney, who's an attorney, saying, I'm asking her a question. Since I'm answering hers, I said, well, why did Mike Lang do this? It seems like a bungling move that we now have all this evidence that was struck from our devices, but we had an external drive. And now it's passed around. Her answer, ego. Mike Lang, Harvey Weinstein's boss, did this for ego. That's why he took the wife to bed, to better the author. It's the caveman philosophy. I slept with your wife. I'm better than you. So that was the whole game. What he did was led the trail right back to Michael Eisner, exposed the whole cabal, all the connections. We would never have known if he didn't take the honeypot wife to bed. Thank God he took the honeypot wife to bed because of his ego. And it goes on and on and on how the honeypot wife played. Now they use doubling too. One more thing. Mike Lang. How many Mike Langs are in Southern California? Look it up when you get a chance. How many Mike Langs are in Southern California? How many Mike Langs are billionaires in Southern California? Well, now you just reduced it down, didn't you? You might find one.
Yeah.
So they use a doubling system of a Mike Lang in Spokane, Washington, playground of Hollywood. They actually have a stunt Mike Lang. So Mike Lang in Spokane, they'll be able to say, well, he's an electrician guy or does water beds. Well, it's interesting that Becca was all into the waterbed therapy stuff. And he entices her with every single thing she wants. You know, hypnotherapy, longevity, the red batch, they call it. Immortal, red pill, blue pill. Isn't that crazy? They're actually doing it. So what you have is a situation where they have doubling. They have a doubling for Diane Bellis. And their attorneys will tell you, here's Diane Bellis, the one you're looking for. It'll be a separate Diane Bellis in exactly where Diane Bellis should be. She was the former head of the studios at Warner Brothers Story Department that we submitted through, the attorney submitted through. Now, so we can go on and on and on how Tony Rankin threw the case, and now they had a handoff firm set in place, talk about honeypot wife, set in place to hand off to throw the case further. Also a classmate and defense attorneys from Pasadena, California, Rios and Associates. Keep in mind the tight circle, the art of war. So what they have is, or in this case, the disaster of war. What they have is Miriam Espinoza is his paralegal. She's related to Lenny Coco, who Pat Robertson had his student at his grad school, Nadia Centino, was the daughter-in-law of Lenny Coco. And so we have a situation where Nadia comes to me, gets the screenplay, besides Ned and Judy Bankovich taking it out gratis, David Geyertson, to Disney and to Universal Studios. Thank you very much. Here's your bonus for the sex ring. You also have Nadia Centino making sure Lenny Coco gets it, and gives it to who? Bonaventura, Lorenzo D. Bonaventura of Warner Brothers, who is credited still in Wikipedia saying he discovered and shepherded the Matrix story and gave it to the Wachowskis. So what's interesting is, or he didn't say give it to Wachowski, he said shepherded and discovered it. And one of the few that understands it. Lenny Coco gave it, Nadia Centino gave it from Robertson to Lenny Coco. Lenny Coco gives it to Bonaventura, his best friend. Had me talk to Bonaventura during the pitch session after giving him the script and said it's revolutionary, we're making this, submitted through attorney, we did. Rankin was in charge of saying that they never got the materials, and that the attorney doesn't have anything. Boyd Norfolk doesn't have anything. James Boyd had everything. It was another lie to try to throw us off. He had everything, including the tracking number receipt to Warner Brothers, 4000 Warner Bird Lane, June 25th, 1993. We've got them by the balls. They're not going to get away with this. Even murdering my sons, a father's not going to crawl up in a ball. He's going to dedicate that to the memory of his sons and finish, no matter what trolls say. Which now the thing to say is, you don't care about your sons. You have no feelings for them. Thanks a lot. Would you say that to the people? If it was real life Saving Private Ryan, would you tell a parent that, a father? And would you say that you made them up? So that's why, leading into this thing that Aiden made, they're saying I made Aiden up. And Aiden made this beautiful piece out of his own doing, after all he had seen. Keep in mind, his mom said on the phone, she has nothing to do with him, that he wasn't supposed to be born. And when asked about, she always said she was a nun, basically, that nothing ever happened during our marriage, right? There's people that showed up in a going away party, breakup party, she called it, when I came back from work in Maui. All these people were there, all these rich people I've never met before. She's connected to Anthony Hopkins. I didn't know all this stuff. And so this breakup party's held, and Aiden's seen his mom's going to leave. And she said, I was always true and faithful. Then after she leaves to Mike Lang of Disney, right? After she leaves to Mike Lang on the birthday, she has the audacity to say to me on Aiden, Aiden's trying to talk to her on the phone. We're going to talk to her. She tells us on the phone, and I recorded this part. Yeah, I had connections. Because I said, well, you said you were we were pure during this relationship. She goes, I had connections. I said, you're saying you had sex? Yes, it was sex. just connections, just sex, all over. She continued the prostitution through the whole sham marriage, which was conducted by Disney. Right back to Mike Lang when she's done.
Wow. Mind blowing for sure. Tom, here's a question for you, and then I would like to roll into your son's video that he produced.
Okay. Sure.
We'll wrap it up with that. But here's a question that maybe you can help a lot of listeners tonight. We've been told that we're watching a movie and we're watching things play out. I don't necessarily believe in the whole movie thing, but I do think that there are things that have to play out in our nation. Whether that's somebody forcing them to do it or whether that's just, in my opinion, part of God's plan. As you're seeing things unfold here in America and the things that you've experienced in your own life and the things that you've gone through with the honeypot wife, and she was playing a part and this person was playing a part, and all this interconnection and this web that you've had to really get through in life. Do you see some similarities in what we see here in America today with the current administration and all the things that seem to just kind of be playing out with the things that happened November of 2020 and J6 and all this stuff? Is there anything that you can tell the audience tonight that we're seeing similar things that you've experienced in your own life?
Absolutely. It's all tied together. What you see is they whisper through their films what the truth actually is. That's why they made the joke in Men in Black about, the newsstand having the actual news. They actually put it in the films. Like we said about, Minority Report with Steven Spielberg putting my dad's rank captain and, named John, and then Anderton, changed to Anderton, Scottish clan name, and Sean being murdered. Sean's murdered later. That's all there for a reason. But you have to realize the real key to this whole situation that is our country has a rogue agency controlling everything because they're entrusted with safeguarding all of us. Instead, they thought they'd turn us all in and profit off us all. And that's the FBI. So what they've done is that's why Brian Fitzpatrick, is a lifelong FBI operative. He tries to excuse that. He is. He says it now. And also a Pennsylvania congressman to control my sister with major rewards. Congress is being run by the FBI too. The FBI is the one that's supposed to take care of protecting citizens. Instead, they're going off soil to Ukraine. Fitzpatrick's gone to Ukraine, disrupted it by destroying the career like mine, destroying Shokin, the equivalent of the Attorney General in Ukraine. He did that before this Ukraine crisis happened. He's getting rid of their system of people who are actually conscientious, destroying their lives the same way. He even says he takes intellectual property. The FBI uses intellectual property to destroy the lives of those that are targets. Yet the FBI claims that they're only going after those who go after them. And Mike, my question is, who wants a security force that's only going to protect themselves, not even you? I won't, Mike, I'm your bodyguard, but I'm not going to do anything to that guy assaulting you unless they're coming after me. Not funny. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No,
you wonder why our country is the way it is. That's why our country is what it is. You need to dismantle the FBI. Dismantle the FBI. Put these agents and the top people on crimes against humanity. You've got to dismantle the FBI. That's the ones that have used the SWAT team and local chief of police to put me away 5 times. What did I do? What am I guilty of? And that's why they paid my sister with a congressman giving her black tie dinners, everything else. All she has to do is say, Tom said he's suicidal and he's going to kill his son. And out they come. I didn't say that. That sister is the last person on earth I'd call after she became a monster and sold out. I'm not going to call her. I may tell you. I may tell my friends if I have concerns, but not her. I'm certainly not going to call her constantly. But that's the excuse they use. And they give her these positions in order to make it look like she's got clout when she's not even licensed. That's the game the FBI plays. And the FBI profits off of, they've done it from the beginning with Disney. And they've been in bed with Disney ever since, just like Mike Lang offered the bed to the honeypot wife. And it's interesting, we had a conversation with her on the phone before this all happened. And we were in Canada, like she sent us. She did a letter saying, let Tom take Aiden to Canada. And what she did was, she told me on the phone, listen, they might be listening in. I'm like, yeah, that's okay. We got them. The Lenny Coco tape gets them. We have a tape of Lenny Coco saying, this all happened. We got him, right? So we got that tape for the documentary. It's huge. In fact, the documentary team, some of them were in tears when they heard that. It was like they're going to use it for sure. But Becca responds, well, listen, the only way I would ever, go against or leave you and Aiden was if they offered me instant success in Spokane, Washington. Mike, she just said that they're listening in. Be careful, Tom, they're listening in. And then you follow up with the only way I would ever leave you and Aiden is if they offered me instant success in Spokane, Washington. And what you get, Mike Lang appears, the emails show it. And what was she offered? Instant success in Spokane, Washington.
Yep, Spokane, Washington, exactly what she
So
said.
if you want to right our world, if you want to right our country, bring the FBI on the table, reveal them, hold them accountable, show what they've done. They have become an organization, a brotherhood that has exploited their own citizenry. And here's what was explained to me, the Pentagon included. They see citizens as assets. They believe they can justify this, taking intellectual property, basically quoting, taking intellectual property from citizens of the US. That's okay because we're taking from our own assets to safeguard the safety of our citizens. So why did you murder my sons, FBI? Well, if you try to reveal us, we have to stop you so we can continue to protect citizens. Seriously? Is there logic there?
No.
That's what's wrong with our country. That's why we're facing everything. Because the people who are supposed to be guarding the gates are the ones profiting by making sure the murderers get to us and their stuff is taken. And they're the ones who do the investigation. They're always the ones that do the investigation. The thing that stands out to me is that gentleman bloodied, talking when the towers fell. And he's talking about what he heard, those secondary explosions that went off. And I have the clips of it. And in the middle of his talk, heartfelt talk, no courtesy whatsoever, these guys come up and pull him out, away, and take him away rudely. And on the backs you see FBI, Federal Bureau of Imbeciles. And they're the ones that don't like me. And keep in mind, I have that card. Please extend every courtesy to Tom Malthouse. When was that given to me? When I was being groomed by Pat Robertson to be the face of the Christian Coalition. That's when the FBI gave me that card.
Wow. Here's a question for you here, Tom, and then I want to roll into your son's documentary, his video that he made. It says, "Can you ask Tom about John Walsh and her daughter Megan? Looks like he's taking away her kids. Can you speak on that?"
Well, let's just cap right back to and tie it in. What happened with me with Robertson when he's grooming me? What did the FBI do? It was John Walsh's program, America's Most Wanted. I was on the premiere of the program, #1 rated show at the time in 1988 when Robertson's running for president, that I appeared as a lead role. And the FBI top guys took me out to dinner, and the John Walsh team, and they gave me that card at that dinner. So what's interesting is when I'm being groomed by the evil side, John Walsh is like, woohoo. And when we're not doing that anymore and revealing what that evil man is doing, Robertson's doing, like I just did with the David Garrison thing, please spread that around, people. What's going on then is, who's against you? The FBI. So it's not a stretched imagination to think that John Walsh is going to harm his own. And that is what's going to happen, because that's what they did with me. My sister, bought by the FBI, tried to make sure my last surviving son was taken from me with lies, saying I was going to murder him. So my heart goes out to Megan. I understand what's going on. We're dealing with the worst of the worst. And I would say that's FBI, John Walsh. They made a deal to do that program. John Walsh didn't just come up with that, I don't think. I think the FBI and the John Walsh decided they had something would hit home and make some good response and money. And so I happened to end up on that program like a Forrest Gump story. But there I am getting that card. So what I'm saying is they use the children as the biggest weapon. They'll say, what about your family? If you don't sell out, think of your family. What did Sova tell me on the trip? Think of your family. Think of your family. If you say anything, we'll both go down.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring in this video, Tom. If you want to go ahead and start talking about it, let everybody know kind of the story behind it. This is your surviving son, Aiden. He's right around 15 years old, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
15.
And he made this for you, or what's the story behind this short film that he made?
When the FBI was doing yet another Plan 302, because they have the problem of bragging. They're people they buy off brag a lot. And my sister bragged about, Secret Service is going to get you, FBI's pissed at you, all this stuff. So we knew something was coming, and Aiden surprised his grandmother and me, because we were at my mom's home caretaking her and my elderly dad. And so he surprised us with this video. And it really capsulized what I couldn't articulate. You know, it was like he was able to articulate what he experienced and what he saw and what he knew. So yeah, and what the response from their side for Sophia Stewart, she called and mocked and said that he didn't make it. That's taking credit away from that young man who did a brilliant job on his own. He did this all on his own. He deserves the credit for it. So you're going to take my screenplay and you're not going to give him credit for his work? That's not right. And they're now saying in comments, and trolls are saying that my children never existed. I made it up. That Sean and Kirk never died. That's what Spielberg wants done. That's what Disney wants done. That's what Robertson wants done. They're all together, and the FBI wants done. They don't want people to have sympathy in a Saving Private Ryan situation, which incidentally, Saving Private Ryan done by Spielberg. Again, the fictitious characters he picked for the sons' names, the brothers that died, is Sean and Daniel. My sons' names were Sean and Kirk Daniel. He's just rubbing it in the face. Rubbing it in the face. They have no honor. Yeah.
Are you ready for me to play the video?
Yeah, I am.
All right. You want to kill your camera, and I'll kill my camera and I'll play it, and then you can talk about it after we're done. Can you hear it, Tom?
Yes, I can. Yes.
All right. What a wonderful video that your son made there for you, Tom. And tonight, folks, would be the best for you guys to hit that like button, to share this out. If you guys can share this out, share Tom's story. I think it needs to get out to the whole world. So go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I'm pretty choked up. I mean, it gets me when I see through his eyes, you know, the loss of his brothers. And he actually said during this faux court process when they threw our cases, just threw it. They had their own attorneys. They were joking and bragging that we had no idea how much we're worth, that we were being screwed, and that they had Tony Rankin in their pocket and had us up against the wall. They bragged about it. And in fact, they slipped during the only deposition to me. They didn't allow me to have any depositions to the Wachowskis, even staged the thing so we couldn't have it. and ran out statues on that too. It was just a free for all with the three of them that were classmates from University of Berkeley, all defense attorneys that threw this, working together in tandem. And so what happens is Aiden actually said when he saw the judge do what he did, he said he lost his faith. So as a father to see this happen when he knew we had it and we had the evidence and everything, and then to see the public what they did through their Hollywood Reporter and TMZ to mock the family, and he lost his brothers, and he's a kid who's 15 that his mom was a prostitute, and yet he is a who has nothing to do with him, nothing. She hung up with him on the phone because he wouldn't understand that she had sex with other people and that it was fine in her mind, and that was what she did. And so that was the last she would contact him. Don't do him. And even cut his emails off and his phone off. And so what you have is a situation where he is an A student. He is on soccer. He plays piano. He is taking in 10th grade. He's the youngest in his 10th grade class. And that's after his mom was making it so that he was going to be held back a year. He was advanced a year under me. We worked together. And that was at a top school in Canada. And what happens is you even have a situation where Owen Patterson, the production manager for Matrix, he put Owen Patterson High School in the graphic with the Wachowskis, along with my high school as a joke. When Aiden went to Canada at Brantford High in Transformers, their studios put in Brantford High as the school that the main character is going to. So it's just the joke continues: slap the face, slap the face. But he's the youngest in his class. It was 10th grade, and he's taking advanced placement college credit courses. That's Aiden. So, and for them to have the audacity to say he never existed, I can't wait for the documentary to come out where he's going to be featured in the documentary. He'll be speaking in the documentary. And for Sophia Stewart to call all the time and to mock, that's her job, to mock. She's supposed to be the first claimant coming out of USC, a failed D writer coming out of University of Southern California by the Warner Brothers, to be incorporated to be the first claimant so people in the public don't look at me. So they do that. They put the first claimant forward, and then no one's supposed to pay attention afterwards. And she calls often and says, you killed your sons, Tom. You're in a cult. You're responsible for their death. That kind of stuff, and mocks all the time. And she likes to call with a little entourage on the phone with her so she can do it in front of people. That's how shallow. And she actually sent me a friend request. In that friend request, she says, she's mocking at the same time with another post to another person that sends it to me. Tom's an egomaniac. He's a narcissist. He's the evil one, And to me, she's sending that friend request. If you look at her production company, it says, All Eyes on Me, Incorporated, Sophia Stewart. Who names a company All Eyes on Me? That sounds a little narcissistic to me. So these are wannabes that get positioned to harass and dissuade and mislead the public and make sure that they never look and create an urban legend of, they won. No, they're in-house. And that's why the Wachowskis were brought in. They were wined and dined by Dino Laurentiis, Mike. And they had failed at everything they did. They even said their mom said that all they did was read comic books. They failed in their businesses. They dropped out of school. And why is Dino Laurentiis then wine and dining them and promising them beautiful starlets and fame and fortune? Why? In 1995, why is he wine and dining them? They don't have a body of work. Plastic Man and Carnivore? And their Bible is make B movies so you can profit off of insurance money for films and not spend money on quality. And they get my work, and still Plastic Man and Carnivore isn't being made, even though they're peddling it. So I think everything lines up really well. In fact, they had an article in 1995 where they said they failed as writers in Hollywood. They'd have to pack their bags and leave. Then why didn't you, if you claim you wrote my piece in 93 when I submitted, why didn't you bring that forward then? Why would you be packing your bags? There's so much to it.
There is. As we wrap this up tonight, I think I would like to ask you a question for final thought, because I've seen the trilogy of The Matrix, and I think it was a very well-written piece. I understand that they changed a lot of things in it, but for the base of it, your work, Tom, was truly an amazing amazing piece. So here's my final question for you tonight, for your final thought. You've been fighting this for a very long time, but are we going to see more work from Tom Althouse. Is there anything in the wheelhouse? Is there anything that you're working on? That's my final question for tonight.
That's a great question too. It's what kept Aiden alive. The FBI, through Disney and their contacts, jointly gave me a contact, a Peaceable One, where I actually recorded it. Keep in mind that Bob Iger, through his main guy, wanted to have a conversation with me, and that's why Bob Iger was fired. He jumped the gun. He wasn't supposed to say that he was going to meet with me, and he got fired the next day. And the sex ring happened in lower echelon. Yes, I have 15 other pieces, and I told them they're not being released in the world if anything happens to Aiden, my loved one. If anything happens to him or my mom, I'm not releasing that work. And they said, you can't do that. I said, yes, I can. I'm not going to have that work in a world where they don't exist, or they were taken out like my sons were, other sons. And they listened and they heard me. That's why Aiden's still alive.
So 15 other pieces.
Better than The Matrix.
That you've already written.
Yes. I've been busy since 1993.
How do you keep those safe? How do you keep those safe from people stealing them, from finding them? How does
you
a guy
don't put
like
them
you
on
keep
record.
those?
You don't do it on the computers. You handwrite them out. Which you just handwrite them out. And Aiden had the idea of actually burying them in trash bags so they can't be detected. And so there is a fail safe, and the FBI knows this. Isn't that something? We have to resort to that technique. But that's what Aiden came up with. Dad, take the copies of them all and bury them in an undisclosed location. Metal detectors won't pick it up. Paper in a plastic bag, no staples.
Wow, there you go. That's actually pretty smart. You know, your 15-year-old Aiden, he sounds like an amazing young man.
He's a genius.
Can't wait for the opportunity to meet Aiden, you know, and the documentary when it comes out. Tom, before we leave tonight, what would you like to leave the audience either thinking or knowing, or just something for the audience tonight as we close out?
We're going to win. And I don't mean me personally. I mean, we're all going to win. We're going to have a better world. We're going to see a golden age in cinema worldwide. Each nation will have their own film studios, and it won't be Hollywood hogging the heart. And what you're going to see is a new Hollywood too. Paparazzi are telling me that also. But we are going to win because we know exactly where the head of the snake is. The head of the snake is the FBI. And what you do is you take that down, you reveal Brian Fitzpatrick, and you reveal Robertson and his claws and connections in with it. They're doing it for profit and greed and power. In fact, the contact on tape says it's all about power for them. They don't know anything else. So we had a lot of people that are now been targeted heavy because we can actually lead together for a better world. We've been conditioned. We've had to been smart to survive. We had to maintain a heart, our character through the fire, and come out untainted and not diminished. And so great things are right around the corner. As soon as the FBI is revealed and they stop having the power and they stop being funded, you're going to see children released. You're going to see all kinds of things free up. You're going to see our country released from the claws that's been held in the grasp. You're going to see other countries not be destabilized anymore, such as the FBI through Fitzpatrick and Trudeau's FBI counterpart disrupting Ukraine. You're going to see the FBI involved in everything before there's a crisis, making sure there's a crisis so they can profit. And their film companies and their news studios they own and their phone companies they own, they all can profit. Their oil companies can own. They all have these mega monopolies. Disney owns ABC News. Warner Bros. Owns CNN News and AT&T. They all own, Robertson owns the iScapades, wireless. They all own these incredible things. Joel Silver owns oil and pharmaceutical in Canada. It's all there. Robertson owns the diamond blinds, blood diamonds, and things like this. It's unreal what they have their claws into. And now you're seeing Blackwater and BlackRock and all these things, and watch for Black Air. What we're going to do is we're going to stop them until they get to that point. So we're going to see the fall of the worst powers of our time, and it'll be a peaceful change where artists and people who took the call and decided to get involved and not just watch from the bleachers, but get on the field and run the ball with us. And no more sons will die.
Amen. Thank you for that, Tom. Appreciate your final thought. Thank you for joining us tonight. I think I'm going to leave your final thought there, and I won't pick it up. But folks, if you could, please like, please subscribe, share this out. Let's help Tom get his message out to as many people as we possibly can. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tom, as always, it's a pleasure having you here at LWN, and thank you for bringing that beautiful video that your son made. Tell him that we appreciate his artistic ability and how he laid that all out. It was truly amazing. So God bless you, Tom.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
All right. Folks, we'll see you in the morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Devotions with LW. Love y'all. Have a great night.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now. Looking for a sign of disaster, so I can make it there faster. I'm weighing the consequences out. I can see in all directions. It's all open to interpretation, but I see colors that are breaking from the other side, the other side. When I make mountains out of summer trails, when I buckle under all the details, I'll keep going till I make it to the other side, the other side. Can you tell me the secret of how you can take it or leave it? How you can blend in with the crowd? I'm so scared, so damn afraid to look. I'm so sick of talking. I'm wearing the words out, words out. I can see in all directions. It's all open to interpretation, but I see colors that are breaking from the other side, the other side. When I make mountains out of summer trails, when I buckle under all the details, I'll keep going till I make it to the other side, the other side. When it feels like everyone's out to get me, I see the river on the back of my eye.